there. I'm going to be talking about my first experience seeing a medium or psychic. I have never seen one before. I've never really been interested in seeing one in general. I feel like they are pretty scammy and they are just taught what to look for, what to ask in order to get the conversation going, and they normally say or ask you things that are very vague, but kind of like if you read the horoscopes, you can pick out things that you think, oh yeah, I'm like that, or oh, that makes sense to my life. I'll discuss further on that kind of a thing. So I've viewed most psychics and mediums kind of scammy. I don't disbelieve in psychics entirely because I have had 3 different happenstances where I've had like a premonition come upon me and then they've come true. So because that's happened to me personally, I'm not going to disregard any kind of psychic thoughts whatsoever. However, I am still very skeptical. I don't think people can be like, oh, when will I get married? And then live like 2020. You're like, oh, sweet. Like, I don't think you can just like ask a question, you'll get an answer kind of a thing. In Cassadaga, when I went to a medium. I didn't really care whether I saw a psychic or medium. My mom just saw that girl's name on her wall thing, and she was like, oh, you should go see her. And I was just like, okay, I don't really care. I'll go see whoever. It doesn't really matter to me. It's not like I'm gonna think one person's better than the other because I don't really know anything about it. She booked an appointment for me in like a 30-minute time span, so my mom called her, booked the appointment. 30 minutes later, I had my psychic reading. That was kind of cool. Was she didn't have me wait a couple days and me give her name to like possibly look me up and like look up information about me. It was right then, 20 minutes, boom, got right in. There was no possibility that she was trying to look me up on the internet because she didn't know my name. Well, she knew my name, but not my last name. So there was no way that she could have like gotten information about me or anything like that. So that I thought was cool about going to people in Cassadaga is the fact that for most of them, you walk in or give them like a 20-minute window because they might have like someone before you and they might just need time to recuperate before going to the next person. So some of them you can get the same day. Some of them you need to book in advance. I don't think you need to book a day in advance, but some of them you might need to go in the morning, book with them, and then have an appointment later on in the afternoon. So to begin with this reading, when we first started out together, she just introduced herself, asked me what my name was, kind of just did a quick disclosure kind of a thing just to tell me like what the price was, like that kind of general stuff. And then she had me sit down with her at a table and she had us meditate and put like I think she had a stone. It looked like a pink quartz or something like that. So she had like a stone by her. And she had me close my eyes and then kind of meditate, and she had me think of a pink fluffy cloud in my solar plex region, right below the rib cage, above the belly button. She was trying to have me picture a pink fluffy soft white cloud kind of a thing there, so I would calm down, and then that way she could try and get a reading of me. The first thing that she brought up was, she said, did someone die recently? And there has been no one who's died. So I don't know why she picked up that, but I was like, no one's died. She's like, are you sure there's no one that's died that you were close to? And then I was like, no one's died. And then I was just like, well, unless you talk about, my love life dying, then yeah, that's died. But I didn't want to tell her that because she wanted to have as little information about me as possible. If she asked me a question, she wanted me to respond mainly with yes or no. No kind ofs. Sometimes questions that she asked me were kind of to me, but in general she just wanted you to have yes or no. They tell you when you start to not confuse them. If something's not true, tell them no and they'll move on from it. So that was the first thing she brought up, was if anyone had died recently. Again, I told her, no one has died. So eventually she moved on from that conversation and moved on to the next question, where she brought up my grandpa, which I think that she was referring to my dad's dad, not my mom's dad. Never met my mom's dad, but apparently that didn't matter because I said I'd never met one of them, and then she said, doesn't matter if she met them or not. So, but because I had no connection with my mom's dad, doubtful that that's who she was connecting with. But she was basically saying like, oh yeah, he likes to watch over you and see how you're doing. And no matter how old you'll get, you're always going to be his cute little girl in his eyes, no matter what. Which kind of relates to me because he died when I was around 3, and he just loved calling me and my twin sister like little twin girls. Like, I remember he would just want us to like run up to him and give him a hug whenever we saw him. And then she was like, oh, did he ever call you Squirt? And I was like, no. But then later I asked my mom, I was like, did he call us Squirt? And then she was like, yeah, he called you Squirt. And I was like, what? No. I thought that was weird because, I mean, Squirt's kind of obscure for a nickname. And I feel like if people like just brought that out there, it probably wouldn't stick. Like, I didn't think it stuck with me, but apparently he called us Squirt. I was 3, so like I would remember that. So that was kind of like, okay lady, you got me there. That was kind of weird. And then she moved on to ask ask further questions just about my life in general. She brought up a lot of just how I was feeling kind of lost in life, which in my opinion you could probably ask any 25-year-old how they're feeling about themselves in life, and they're probably like, yeah, I'm pretty fucking lost. So to me, you could probably guess that for most mid-20 people who just graduated from college. Like, most of us are pretty lost. To me, that seemed more like a guess. I feel like if you threw it out there for most 20-something-year-olds, it's probably going to stick with them. So some things seemed kind of slightly off like that, and then some things I was like, okay, well, that would be an odd thing to throw out there and how that stick with people. For example, like, I wanted to know more about, like, my ex-fiance and stuff like that. And so she basically just like, well, did he have like dominating traits about him? Like, did he just want to like control things? And then I was like, well, kind of, because that was the kind of answer, because he had tendencies to be like that, but not really at the same time. Most of them were driven just by jealousy or disagreements and what we both needed in life. It wasn't really like, oh, you're eating a pickle, you can't eat that, like that kind of dominating, controlling behavior. It was just more so if we disagreed on something, or if his jealousy kind of got on the way, that's when he became kind of dominating. But I feel like if you've broken up with somebody and you threw that out there, it probably would stick with most people. But I feel like that was kind of just like a generalization. And then she also brought up, this one I thought was more weird. She was like, well, did something happen with like him in a car or something that like ended your relationship? And then I was like, well, I got into a really bad car accident, and that basically like ended it all, because we were already having issues before then. But once my car accident happened and I couldn't afford to get a new car right away, and when I was looking for housing at that time, it was going to be far away from my work. So if I didn't have a car, no one was going to be able to pick me up and bring me to work. So there would have been no way for that to be possible. So I had to make other accommodations in order for me to survive. And that did not bode over well with him. So basically, once that car accident happened, it was over at that point. And so I thought that was weird, because, I mean, if someone's like, was the car involved in like your breakup, is that really going to stick with most people? So that was another one where I was like, okay, you got me. That was a little strange. I'm not going to go into everything because she did discuss a lot of things. I don't really care about the privacy of it. It's just that she discussed a lot, and it would just take forever in this video if I went through everything. But most of it was generalized. Some of it was just thrown out of the blue. She was like, okay, well, I can see you doing something where you're learning things, and it might relate to art, and that person will be connected to New York. And she asked me if I was looking at schools in New York, and I was like, hell no, I don't want to move to New York at all. And then she was like, well, maybe someone will be connected to New York then. So I see New York somewhere in your future. And then I was like, okay. I mean, if she had said California, I'd have been like, oh, California? I've always wanted to live there. That New York thing, kind of a miss for me. Basically, we just kind of talked more. She asked some more questions, that kind of a thing. Asked me about my relationship with my parents. Then she asked me if I had any questions. I didn't really have any questions for her. I didn't really know what to ask because I only had 30 minutes to like prepare to meet her, and I was more nervous than anything. So I didn't think about any questions. So then she just kind of kept trying to ask me other questions while she was sitting there thinking. For example, she asked if I wanted to connect with anyone else on the other side because she was medium, and I was like, well, I've always felt a connection with my grandma. And then she was just stating traits that most old people have, like, oh, were they stubborn? Were they strong-willed? Did they have lots of confidence? And I was like, yeah, those are accurate, but I feel like every old person has those traits, so. At the end, she kind of broke down my life in the next 3 years. She said that she wouldn't go over 3 years because, as I also believe, you have the ability to change your future. The future is fluid, it's not set in stone, but I would say in a 3-year timeline, you can probably guess what's going to happen. She broke it down into months and then into kind of years, so she had like short term, like, okay, in about 4 months I can see you living by yourself, which I hope is right because that would be cool, and it would definitely stay in the timeline of me going to school in May, and that's 4 months from now. So if that's accurate, I can see that being accurate. And then she kind of went on and was like, okay, at the end of the year, you're going to work at some place that's like Whole Foods. Not exactly Whole Foods, but someplace healthy like that, and you're going to get really into nutrition and wellness. And I was like, lady, do you know me? I love cake. I'm not getting into health and wellness. So I was like, okay, you probably got that wrong, but who knows? We'll find out at the end of the year, apparently. And then she was like, oh, okay, and then you'll date someone in about 8 months, but it won't last very long. And then I was like, cool. That's what I wanted to hear. But then she went on to say some pretty cool stuff, so I think she said in about 1.5 years or something like that, that I would work on like a film project, and it would give me some recognition and notability, which I thought was pretty sweet, so if that happens, okay. I'm okay with that. Most of it was pretty boring, and it was just more like trying to find myself in that kind of a deal. That's everything that I can think of about the psychic reading. So again, at the end, she just broke down my year, my timeline 3 years out. At the end, she kind of just like closed the session and then just said thank you for being here, gave me a business card in case I wanted to do anything with her again. She also said that I could do phone calls with her, but she said that she would not talk to me for another 6 months. So that's kind of nice, is that they give you 6 months to do whatever you need to in your life or see if what they say is true, and then you can go back to them. But they don't like people before the 6-month period. So that was my psychic reading. Some things were cool. Mainly the only 2 things were like my grandpa calling me squirt, which I don't know. And then the car thing, and then some stuff, there's some other things where I was like, okay, well, I don't really know how you would know that. But most of it, I felt like it was just their training and how they are good at looking and reading into people and saying generalized things that can stick with you. So most of it, I would say like 70% of it was that, and 30% of it was, oh, okay, that was kind of weird how you would know. So, in conclusion to my psychic and medium reading, I don't know. I'm pretty confused if it's real or fake. I would probably go again just to like see, or maybe I'll wait until the end of the year and see if anything she said has come along, and then I can base my judgment off of then. But yeah, as of right now, I don't know. I'm kind of confused still. I think if you're interested and want to see a psychic or medium, go ahead and see what it's all about. If you're not interested, don't believe in it, I would say you're probably good to just not do it. Now that is the big thing to do in Cassadaga, so if that's not what you want to do, then you're probably not going to have much to do there. So all in all, would I recommend going to Cassadaga? I would if you are interested in spiritualism, just want to learn more about it. If you're interested in psychics and mediums and have never done one before and would like to do one, I feel like Cassadaga would be a good place to go for your first one. Like with me, they don't seem super scammy. They seem relatively genuine in wanting to help you. For example, with me, like they didn't tell me anything negative about my life. They kind of just wanted to point me in a positive direction. One, because I think most psychics are taught that you shouldn't disclose any negative information because it could bring someone down. And 2, probably because it's not very good for them, for their business, if they keep telling all their clients, like, here's all the bad things that are going to happen to you in your future. So it is kind of nice to know that you have someone there that wants you to have a positive future. So that's kind of a nice thing about going to them with their psychic and medium readings. Then just in general, if you're interested in haunted areas or just want to know more history about haunted places in Florida, definitely recommend going to Cassadaga. That was my weekend in Cassadaga. I hope this video helped you if you're interested or wanted to know more information about Cassadaga before you went. If you guys have any questions or comments about Cassadaga or the Cassadaga Hotel or any of my experiences there or with my experiences with my medium, please let me know in the comments below and I will be sure to answer your questions. I hope you guys are having a spooky week and I will see you in my next video.